iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. I just had an interesting discussion on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with a listener, and I wanted to discuss it here because I think this guy was way off, and but I do respect him. I think he knows what he's talking about sometimes. And I wonder whether or not I was wrong in my assessment, but I don't think so. So it was comparing Melvin Gordon and Jay Ajayi. Okay? Melvin Gordon, we know how good he's been and how good he was last year and what he's capable of. But first of all, we know that last year he had 254 carries, almost hit 1,000 yards, had 10 rushing touchdowns. He had 41 receptions for 419 yards. And 2 touchdowns. So he caught more passes than we ever expected. He ran very well, but not great. Well, but not great. The interesting thing is, he really didn't even do that much early on because Danny Woodhead was there. But he totally picked it up, and then he didn't even play the last 3 games of the season. And then the fourth one, week 14, he only had 3 carries against Carolina. So if I would add, I'll be generous, 70 yards, right, times 4 would be about what? 1,280 yards for Melvin Gordon? Maybe I would give him another, 10 catches, another 100 yards. So this guy is a beast. It's a beast. Who's his backup? Do you know? I ask you this question right now. Don't cheat. Don't cheat. Who is Melvin Gordon's backup? You don't even know, do you? Because Melvin Gordon really doesn't have one. He was sharing time with Danny Woodhead, but now Danny Woodhead's gone to Baltimore. Well, there's Brandon Oliver, there's Kenneth Farrow, there's Kenyon Barner. But come on, seriously, what is the chart? Who do the Chargers have? Nobody to speak of. So this conversation precipitated because Chris Liss in the FSTA football draft took Jay Ajayi at 9. And Melvin Gordon went, I believe, at 12 or 13. And I just didn't understand why somebody would take Ajayi over Gordon. And look at this. In a starter league on Scout on FFWC.com, Melvin Gordon went at 10. Ajayi went in round 2. At 15. By the same team who took Melvin Gordon. Right? Gordon went 1 and Ajayi went round 2. That makes sense to me. Now look at Ajayi. He was pretty good last year. He had 4 sensational games. 4. Week 16 against Buffalo. Week 6 against Pittsburgh. Week 7 against Buffalo. Week 9 against the Jets. 2 of those games against Buffalo, he ran for 1,000,000 yards. Seriously. 420 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Buffalo Bills. Take the Buffalo Bills out of the equation. He was good, maybe not that good. He caught the ball, but I don't look at Ajayi as a prolific receiver. So when you want to break down these players, and I think this is something that's going to happen in the coming weeks and months, who do we want to take in the first round? Ask yourself this. Is Ajayi a natural pass receiver? No, he's not a natural pass catcher. Kenyon Drake is. Kenyon Drake could be more than a change of pace guy. He's very young. He's very fast. And what about Damian Williams? Did you ever see Damian Williams last year? They signed him again. They gave him close to $2 million. Yes, he'll be the backup, but this guy's got very good hands out of the backfield, and he was there on some short yardage plays. I know he stole touchdowns because I watched him. I watched him steal more touchdowns than I wanted to last year. He stole 3 when I wanted Ajayi getting the ball. I remember it was against Buffalo when Ajayi was going off. Damian Williams was getting the touchdown. Same thing against Pittsburgh. So it's not that I'm blasting Ajayi. I'm not. I love the guy. But is he a natural pass catcher? No. Is Gordon? Maybe not, but Gordon's not competing with anybody. Who's got the better quarterback? Gordon does, and Phillip Rivers. The receiving core? I would argue that the Chargers are close to the Dolphins. I love Landry and Parker. Do I love Julius Thomas? No. Do I love Keenan Allen? Tyrell Williams, Hunter Henry? Yeah, it's pretty close. Pretty close to me. Maybe I'll give a smidge to the Dolphins, but it's pretty close. Offensive line, both of them don't have great offensive lines. So, look, we all, as we head to Las Vegas for the Fantasy Football World Championships, we are going to differ in our opinions on players. Some people will like Melvin Gordon. Some will like LaShawn McCoy. Some will like Jordan Howard. Some will like Jay Ajayi. We can fight over these things, but I really think they're not good fights. They really are not good fights. I'm being honest with you. Because they're all good players. So if I didn't like the guy that he went 9, I thought he should have gone here, it's not major to me. But then the guy on the radio said something, and he goes, Dr. Roto, you overrate pass-catching receivers in PPR leagues. That may have been the dumbest comment I think I've ever heard. That may have been the dumbest comment I think I've ever heard. Do you know why? Because we need to value those guys. Not overvalue, we need to value them. Because you're getting free points. You're getting free points. Okay? So let me break it down this way to you. How about LeGarrette Blount versus Ty Montgomery? I think this is a fair one. I'll even do the numbers here. Let's say LeGarrette Blount gets 900 yards rushing. Maybe high, but let's say he gets that. Let's say, so that's what, 90 points. Let's say he gets 10 touchdowns, is 60 points. He gets 10 receptions, which is 10 points, and I'll give him 100 yards receiving, which is 10 points. Right? If I add that all up, it's 190, 200, 260. Fair enough? What about Ty Montgomery? Guy's going to have 50 catches, which is 50 points. I'll say he has 500 yards receiving, which is 50 points. Maybe he has 700 yards rushing, right, which is 70 points. How many touchdowns is he going to get? Oh, I apologize. My numbers were off there with LeGarrette Blount. I'm not a math tutor. All right, my bad. 90 plus 60 plus 20. LeGarrette Blount is 170. I apologize there. 100 yards receiving is only 10 points. So I digress. And what is Montgomery going to get? I'll give him 8 touchdowns. So he's at 50 plus 50 plus 70 plus 48. Oh, that's 218. Who is better? Ty Montgomery. Why? Because he is a pass-catching back. LeGarrette Blount is a great runner, but he loses a lot of points for us on receptions and receiving yards. Why do you think Christian McCaffrey is going to be a top 20 player? Because of his receptions and receiving yards. He's a special talent. Why is Dalvin Cook going to be a great player? Because of his receiving yards. Why is Danny Woodhead such a good player in fantasy? Because of his receiving yards. Do I overrate that? Here, how about this? I'll look at Danny Woodhead in a different way. I'll compare him to LeGarrette Blount. So I will say Danny Woodhead will get 300 yards rushing. I will give him 4 rushing touchdowns, so that's 24. I'll give him 65 receptions, and I'll say that he'll get 600 yards receiving. Right? So that's 30 plus 24 plus 65 plus 60. You know what? He's better than LeGarrette Blount. And LeGarrette Blount is going to get me 900 yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. But the numbers dictate that he's better. Don't you guys understand this? I don't know why people don't understand this. A receiving back is worth his weight in gold. It really is. It's a difference maker. We all love but we look at the rushing yards. Oh, he's not going to have enough rushing yards. I don't need that many rushing yards. I don't need that many. Give me 500 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns. Give me 50 receptions and 500 yards receiving. And I didn't even give you receiving touchdowns, by the way, for Danny Woodhead. Did I? Because I know Blunt's not going to get any. Maybe Blunt gets 1. Woodhead could get 3. What about Ty Montgomery? He could get 3 too. Do you understand? So, telling me that I'm overrating backs who catch passes in a PPR league is probably one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. Probably one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. And Melvin Gordon will have more catches than Ajayi. He will have more receiving yards than Ajayi. He may have more receiving touchdowns than Ajayi. Rushing touchdowns will be similar. So maybe Ajayi has another 100 yards rushing more than Gordon. Great. You know what that's worth? 10 points. All the other stuff, way more than 10 points. It's why Devonta Freeman is a beast. It's why he's most likely a first-round pick. Because the guy will catch 50 passes. And he'll still run for 900 or 1,000 yards. I don't know why people miss this. People miss this all the time. You want guys who can do everything in fantasy football. You want guys who can run. You want guys who can catch. You want guys who can score. Am I overrating that? Am I overrating David Johnson? Am I overrating Le'Veon Bell when they get 8 or 9 catches a week? And ask yourself this question. Seriously, ask yourself this question. I'm going to go back to my Danny Woodhead versus LeGarrette Blount analogy. Do you ever see weeks that Blount gets shut down? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can foresee it. Why? Well, forget the fact that he was with New England before. But let's focus on the fact that he's with Philadelphia. What if he doesn't get me 100 yards rushing and a touchdown? What else is he going to do for me that week? Let's say he goes 18 for 80 with no touchdowns. What was he worth to me? 8 points? What's Danny Woodhead going to do for me? What is Danny Woodhead going to do on a bad week? On a bad week. This guy's going to go 5 for 40. That's 9 points. Seriously. On a bad week, he's going to go 5 for 40, and that's without him rushing the ball once. Have you seen Terrence West? Have you seen Kenneth Dixon? You won't see Kenneth Dixon for the first 4 weeks. He won't be there. You won't see Terrence West in a 2-minute drill. You won't see Terrence West by the goal line. Because you know what? The Ravens will have Danny Woodhead out there all the time. That makes sense to me. So please, let's do something. Let's not challenge me when it comes to fantasy football. Because if there's anything I know in this world, and I'm not telling you I know everything. I know a lot of things, by the way. I don't know everything. I know a lot of things. Not really good in science. I'm really bad in art. All right, you don't want me drawing anything, by the way, unless it's a stick figure. You don't want me translating Russian literature. You don't want me teaching Greek philosophy. But you want me for fantasy football, because this is something I know well. Been doing this a very long time. And people make the same mistakes year in and year out. You don't win high-stakes leagues with old knowledge. You win high-stakes leagues using current knowledge and thinking 2 steps ahead of your competition. 2 steps ahead of competition. So yeah, I'm going to take a shot on all these pass-catching backs. I will. Especially in a league that's a full point PPR. Full point PPR. So let's think about it very closely. Those guys who catch the football, Bilal Powell, Dalvin Cook, Ty Montgomery, Danny Woodhead, James White, Kareem Hunt, CJ Prosise, Chris Thompson. Don't be a hater. These guys can absolutely and unequivocally help you win a fantasy football league. And that's all I ever want you guys to do. I want you guys to win fantasy football leagues. Now look, I want the total package. I want Jordan Howard. I want Jay Ajayi. I want Melvin Gordon. I want LaShawn McCoy. But if I can't get them, and I've got to choose between a guy who runs the football and a guy who catches the football in a 1-point PPR league, this is an easy decision to make. And I'll make it every time. Every time. All right, I want to see you on the road to the Fantasy Football World Championships in Las Vegas. At the Palms Hotel. Very excited about that. So I want you to go to playffwc.com right now. When you get to our draft lobby, you know what you're going to see? You are going to see drafts all the time. Who's drafting today? Starter draft, draft and go, online championship, the world championships. Let's get it done. Let's get you in a league. Let's get you in a place which gives you the best payouts. Let's get you in a place with the best customer service. Let's get you in a place with the best players, where the best players play. Sign up right now. PlayFFWC.com. All right, guys, time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I'm away tomorrow, but I'll be back later this week. I promise you'll be back on Friday giving you more podcasts. I'm going to do a mock draft world championship. See how I feel about guys. Where am I taking Melvin Gordon? Where am I taking Jay Ajayi? Where am I taking Ty Montgomery? Where am I taking LeGarrette Blount? Where am I taking Danny Woodhead? We will find out as we move forward. All right, guys, wishing you a great day. Be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!